Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and today's show is presented by Manscaped. If you're wondering, Mitch, you look pretty good from a rough day yesterday. It's because I used my beard hedger. And you guys can also upgrade your beard game by going to manscaped.com. Use code Raiders for 20% off and free shipping on the best male grooming products out there. If you didn't watch yesterday's live show, Raider Ron might have been the biggest winner out of them all. But coming up here on today's show, we're going to be looking at our preseason week 1 winners and losers. I'm going to be honest. I got a lot more winners considering the fact that the Raiders won 34-7 up against the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I will say, man, if you ended up missing the show, that's on you. It was an insane show. Over 100,000 people tuned in. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you got those notifications turned on because real Raider fans, they watch game days here at the Raiders Report. Now, here is what essentially were the leaders from yesterday's game. The Niners, Trey Lance did struggle a little bit. That touchdown was a little bit of a gimme. We'll talk about it here in a little bit. But for the Raiders, Aidan O'Connell, Zamir White, Cole Fotheringham, they were your leaders for the silver and black on the offensive side of the football. But realistically, that 7 points was coming off of a drop Duke Shelley interception that landed right into the hands of, I don't even know who the hell he was for the 49ers, some backup tight end. So, to me, that 7, I don't know, man. The Raiders defense, they played well in joint practice, and then yet again they showed up and had themselves one hell of a preseason performance. Josh McDaniels, Raiders in the preseason, 5-0 so far. So what I figured I would do here is start with the offensive side of the football, and then we're also going to look at the winners, and then we'll go to the losers kind of at the end of the show. Arguably the biggest winner from this game, man. Aidan O'Connell was straight cooking. 15 of 18, 141 yards and a touchdown. But what I love to see from O'Connell is his ability to process quickly, get the ball out, lead receivers open. He was super accurate. And there was a few times when the pocket broke down, he didn't panic. He still was able to get rid of the football, and he was able to get rid of it on target. And I could make an argument that there was 2 drops out of his 2 incompletions. Imagine if the stat line would have been 17 of 18 for 190 yards and a touchdown. The Aidan O'Connell hype train is here, man. I almost freaking shaved my face and rocked the Farva mustache. All right, let's go to the next winner here. It's got to be Zamir White. When you know that you're going to be filling in for Josh Jacobs, your opportunity to shine, there's going to be a lot of lights on you. And I thought that he did a good job. Yes, he averaged only 3.3 yards per carry, but 13 carries, 43 yards, and a touchdown. He also showed that, hey, you can count on me in the passing game when my name is called. So to me, I was very impressed with Zamir, but I also love the fact that McDaniels, yes, O'Connell was good, but the offense was running through Zamir White, and it was setting up a lot of good things for easier throws for O'Connell. Let's go to another running back here, Sincere McCormick. Once Zamir ended up leaving the game, McCormick came in, and he had 2 touchdowns, 1 through the air, 1 catch, 2 yards, and a touchdown. And then on the ground, 9 carries, 27 yards, and a touchdown. Like, it's not that he did anything spectacular. To me, though, he is winning this battle right now to make that 53-man roster with fellow running back Brittain Brown, who did not play in this game, was a 7th rounder back in 2021. But kind of like what I said with Zamir White, Josh McDaniels wanted this offense to go through the running game. Both of these players answered the call, and that's what preseason's all about. Let's go to another dude that he's been a loser on multiple of my shows, OTAs, mini camps, and Keelan Cole, when he was out there on the field, he was O'Connell's go-to guy. 6 catches, 29 yards, and a touchdown, and really wasn't making a lot after the catch, if you will. But when there was a big-time spot, whether it was 3rd and short, and I really was impressed by the Raiders' ability to get very 3rd and minimal opportunities early on with O'Connell, they were looking for Keelan Cole. Keelan Cole was getting open, so to me, Cole has to be a winner. Now, we still got a few more names coming up here, but guess what? I'm going to make this the pinned comment on today's show. So you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down right now and let me know who was the Raiders' biggest winner against the Niners. My vote's Aidan O'Connell. You could also say Cole Fotheringham, and some of y'all are like, what did you just say? God bless you? Yeah, Cole Fotheringham. Don't ask me to spell it. But this is your 4th-string tight end. Austin Hooper did not play. Michael Mayer did not play. Jesper Horsted did not play. And I do think that those are going to be your top 3 tight ends when the season really gets underway. And I think that those are only going to be your 3 tight ends that make this roster. But what I was really impressed by with Cole was he had some tough catches. Like, there was one play, O'Connell was under duress, and he kind of threw it like back foot Jimmy Garoppolo Madden style, and some of the real ones will get it. And Cole ended up coming down with it. It was a little bit of an acrobatic catch, but 5 grabs, 71 yards, showed the ability to have some nice yards after the catch, showed the ability to stretch the field a little bit, and he outplayed Hollister, and he outplayed Schnecker, who they kind of used Schnecker, the UDFA from Auburn, a little bit more of a blocker, actually lined him up at fullback a few times. But Fotheringham has to be a clear winner. And then I'm going to go with Greg Van Roten. Overall, minus, I'll say, one player who we'll talk about here in a little bit. I thought this Raiders offensive line was spectacular. When you look at a lot of these preseason games, the number one thing that you want is that nobody gets injured. Dylan Parham did leave the game a little bit early. From what I'm told, he is going to be okay. But right now, Van Roten's battling it out with Alex Bars to be that starting right guard. Jermaine Illuminor, Van Roten both started at right guard and at right tackle. Natane Moody ended up coming in for Dylan Parham when he ended up going down. But overall, the entire offensive line played well. I just like the tone that Van Roten sets when he's going out there laying some blocks. Let's continue now to look at some more winners here on the defensive side of the football. Amari Burney has to be a name that you bring up, and he was flying all over the field. We know that he's an athletic player. 2 tackles, he had a sack, but the sack I loved because he was on the other side of the field, comes all the way across, and when you have that ability to track down a mobile quarterback like a Trey Lance and bring him to the ground, that's definitely noteworthy. So to me, Amari Burney was a player that I was definitely pretty impressed by. Let's go to another dude up the middle, and the Raiders' defensive line, I don't know what world I was living in. I felt like I was back in 1976 or in the early 80s when the Raiders defense was wrecking havoc on everyone. John Jenkins played well. I know he's 34 years old. I know there's some rumors that Rob Ryan beat him in a lap at practice, but Jenkins was getting pressure almost every single time, and this interior defensive tackle room for the Silver and Black, they were very impressive. Let's go to another dude who I was impressed by, Isaac Rochell, and you're going to see a lot of guys up front because the Raiders won up front. Like, the 49ers offensive line has to be one of the biggest losers in this game. So with Isaac Rochell, another guy, 2 tackles, he had half a sack, but it was the ability to continuously get pressure and make Sam Darnold, make Trey Lance feel like, oh shit, I don't have a lot of time to throw the football here, and that's what that defensive line did the entire game. We still got a few more winners, but hey, I want you all to be winners, and Manscaped is here to help you guys out. I woke up this morning a little bit hungover, I'm not going to lie to you, but you know what? I looked at my beard and I was like, man, I got to click that upgrade button. So luckily, I got the beard hedger. And for anybody out there, you ever look at yourself in the mirror, you're like, holy shit, I need the upgrade button? That's what we're here for. That's what Manscaped's all about. The premium beard trimmer, which you guys can get your hands on. And the link's going to be available for you guys down in the comments and down in the description of today's Raiders Report show. If you're like, Mitch, don't worry. I remembered. It's manscaped.com, 20% off and free shipping. At the end of the day, man, like, you got to be able to take care of your face. You got to take care of your beard. And I do think people that take a lot of pride in taking care of their beard, it's a hygiene thing. Like, it blows my mind when I tell people, yeah, I do wash my beard. Yeah, I do take care of my beard. I use shampoo, there's conditioners, there's creams, there's all sorts of stuff. And my response to anybody, it's like, really, you do that stuff? Do you use shampoo? Do you use conditioner in your hair? The answer is, of course you do. You should treat your beard the exact same way, and Manscaped's going to help you not only make sure that your downstairs is looking great, but that your upstairs is also looking great as well. Shout out to Manscaped for supporting the show, and remember, use code Raiders. That way they know I sent you. Let's go to another player here that was a winner. It was Adam Butler at defensive tackle, and I've kind of said it already a few times, but the defensive line just continue to show up, and show up, right? Like, they were continuously getting pressure every single time that they went out there onto the field. He had a tackle, he had a sack, and for this Raiders defense, if you have the ability to get some quarterback pressures and bring the QB down, which is something we have not seen a lot, unless your name's Max Crosby, I'm going to count that as a win. Another winner here. He's going up against his old team, a little bit of a revenge game, Jordan Willis. I was very impressed with his ability to fly all over the football field. He had, I want to say, 2 quarterback hits. I'm going to say he had another half a sack, maybe, depending on who you look at. He had a full sack, which it's Manscaped, so we'll just say, we're going to round up at this point, right? But Willis, really good. And then another player that I was very impressed by was Curtis Bolton. He had 5 tackles. He was flying all over the field, man. Like, he had a forced fumble. He had a pass breakup, and I always joke because the only Raiders player, to my knowledge, that has blocked me on social media is Curtis Bolton, and it's probably because I always say that he can't defend. Or Maybe it's because we chant F Sam when they went to school together at Oklahoma. I'm not sure what the reason is, but Botlon played well, and I got to give that guy some credit. He's battling it right now for a practice squad spot. But if Botlon continues to play the way that he does and he adds what he has been doing on special teams, he's going to be a tough player to turn away. Now, this is going to be the part of the show that I know a lot of y'all are going to get mad at me because you're like, Mitch, the Raiders won 34-7. How can you do some losers? Because believe it or not, there are some losers in this group, and I know that some of y'all are going to freak out when you see this first name, but I am going to make Tre Tucker a loser. Just give me a second, right? Because I can already see the smoke coming out of some of y'all's ears. I was impressed with Tucker's quickness. I was impressed with Tucker's ability to stretch the field. However, I do think there was one of the plays that Tucker had, and I don't know if he would have had a first down. It was a slant route coming into the inside, and one of my worries with Tucker, since he is one of the smaller receivers, is he going to hear footsteps? Is he worried about taking that hit? We know that he's a tremendous athlete, but he's coming across, slant. I thought O'Connell hit him pretty well. Ball falls down, and it ends up being incomplete. I wanted to see him make that type of play. And then also on the deep ball, it's a tough play, right? That Aidan O'Connell throw, deep ball down the left side. He beats his defender, did everything that right off the line, shows that vertical speed, lays out for it. It's not an easy catch. But I wanted him to come down with that ball so bad. And because that he didn't, and because he got 3 opportunities essentially, and 2 of them, you know, I kind of like, should he come down with it, hit his hands? For that reason, Tre Tucker to me is a loser, but I was impressed with him. Let's now go to another guy. He didn't even play, Brittain Brown. And how can you be a loser if you don't play? Because when you don't play and you allow the dude who's battling it out with you to make that roster spot, Sincere McCormick, I mean, if you're a coaching staff, what are you going off of? Because Brown's not practicing in joint practices. He's been banged up. I don't know what the injury is, but if you're out there and Sincere McCormick's getting the opportunities and taking advantage of those opportunities, Brittain Brown has to be a loser. Then the only, I'd say, loser on the offensive line last night was Justin Herron. They put him in at left tackle, and it was ugly. He was getting worked by some guy, maybe you guys have heard of him before, Keelan Cole. Keelan Cole looked like the number 4 overall pick up against Justin Herron yesterday. I get the Herron's coming off an injury. He's been slowly working back here a little bit, but that first step was slow. The strength was not there. And Furl was beating him on the outside, beating him on the inside. Giggity. I mean, it was a really, really rough day there for Herron. Another loser here is Azizi Herron, and some people are going to be like, Mitch, I looked at the box score. He led the team in tackles. You're right. Do you know why he led the team in tackles? Because they picked on him the entire day. I mean, they were targeting. As soon as Azizi went in, they said, all right, I'm going to throw that way, I'm going to throw that way, I'm going to throw that way. You know what that says to me? That people don't respect him. And that's an unfortunate part, but hey, he's got to be a loser here. Let's go to another loser. It's Duke Shelley. This one breaks my heart. But the only touchdown that the Niners scored came on I don't know how Shelley didn't catch the ball because it was thrown basically right to him, hits off his hands, and then it lands in the tight end's hands of the Niners, right? Like, what was it? Dwelly. Yeah, imagine it lands into a guy's last name, Dwelly. Christ. I mean, that alone makes Duke Shelley a loser. I know he's a good player. He did everything else right. But if I'm looking for a loser in a 34-7 game, I'm going to point the finger at Shelley, who's battling for a roster spot right now. Had an interception, an opportunity to bring one in, which is what Patrick Graham's been preaching, and instead it lands in the tight end's hand and touchdown Niners, which I know it's only the preseason, but at that point, that game was a little bit closer, 7-7. In a regular season game, that's a big-time momentum shift. And then the final loser here is going to be Neil Farrell Jr. because I thought all the other defensive tackles outplayed him. Right next to Jade Silvera is outworking Neil Farrell in practice. And then you got Adam Butler, John Jenkins playing well. I know that they drafted Farrell in the 4th round, but to me, nobody's a guarantee to make this roster at any point. And if he doesn't wake the hell up, he might be on the outside looking in. So those were our Raiders winners and losers after the 49ers Week 1 preseason game. I asked you earlier in the show to give me a winner. Well, who do you think was the Raiders' biggest loser up against the Niners? Please let me know down in the comments. And I know there's probably a bunch of different ways that you could look at this. But overall, man, you got to be very, very impressed with this team. McDaniels, I thought, had a very well-coached game. Patrick Graham's got to be a winner in this whole thing. When you have the ability to go up against a rival in the Niners and showcase your ability and showcase everything that's been reported in those joint practices and then put it all together, against a Sam Darnold and a Trey Lance. And again, it's preseason, but those two quarterbacks were drafted in the top 3 overall. And you balled out against them. Shout out to the entire defense there. I got some also preseason MVPs from our show yesterday. If you missed what Raider Ron did, I don't know, man, you got to go see it for yourself, because if I tell you what he did, you're not going to believe me. Cass Joey, shout out to you, my guy. Venthrak balled out. John Borelli, Daniel frickin' Jimenez, and then Los Banos Tire Shop. I'll tell you what, you 6, I salute all of you. There were so many other people that I could have said thank you to, but most importantly, not only did the Raiders win on the preseason field, we also took down the 49ers report, and wasn't all that close. I want every week that another channel here at Chat Sports challenges us, we take them down, and I know that we can. If you're looking for more updates, you can follow me on Instagram, you can follow me on Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365. Remember, tomorrow, Jeremy Chugs and I, we're going to be live 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, unless we get some breaking news. So hopefully we see you all there.